So we're gonna go ahead and start.
Okay.
You ready? All
All right.
right. All right. Well, Molly, welcome to the Difficult Student Podcast. I'm so glad that you made it. If you could go ahead and introduce yourself and just tell us about your current role.
Okay. Thanks for having me, by the way. I really look up to you and I'm so grateful to be here. I am a 23-year long teacher. So this is my 23rd year of teaching. And my current role is 7th and 8th grade English. My first year teaching 7th and 8th grade English. And
Mhm.
I started off right off the get go. I was an EBD teacher in high school. So I was like their same age,
Wow.
21. And that was a
Yeah.
great experience. But then I went into middle school and I've been in middle school ever since. They have my heart. I love those kids.
That's a hard grade to teach. I taught middle school for, I don't know, I was for about 6 years, and I was a dean at a middle school for another 3 years. And middle school is rough, and if it's not for you, you shouldn't be in there. You shouldn't be a middle school teacher.
Exactly. I definitely know, like when at my first school, it was fifth, sixth, and seventh grade. No, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade was the middle school. And our dean, he taught me how important the relationships are because
Right.
he had a program. It was a behavior intervention program. And maybe you're familiar with this, but I think he kind of created it on his own. And any kids who he had issues with, he would have lunch with them like every day. And it was
Mhm.
like communication. And the incidences went down like 70% in a 2-year period. So,
Wow.
yes, you have to understand that age group and you need to love it or you shouldn't be there because you can really wreck some dreams if you don't be careful because those kids are pretty tender.
Yes, they are. And you know what? Most people don't like this about middle school students, but you know what? I love the drama. Like it's so like everything is such a big deal. Like it's such a big deal. And relationships to them are everything, like friendships and cliques. And you can't talk to this person, but you could talk to me. And it's just I don't know. I loved it. I loved it. I felt like they needed the most guidance, I guess. And so I was able to guide them because I felt like they needed the most. So
Hmm.
that's why I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love too. I mean, like I just look at them with a lens of empathy of like, oh god, this is tough. And so I just am
Hmm.
an ear, and it really, if you just kind of listen and let them kind of vomit on you,
Yeah.
they feel really good. But yeah, they need us. They definitely need us.
They need people. Definitely need people. How did you get in the field of education? Where did that passion come from?
Okay, so my mom, my whole family, basically, my aunts and uncles, everybody is an educator, and my mom
Hmm.
was a teacher and a coach. And so I had her, I mean, she was my role model and she was coaching 3 sports. She had 4 kids and she was a teacher and
Wow.
she was always just chill, cool. Like she just was always teaching us like, yeah, this is what I chose and I love it. And you have to, um, they're kids and you just go through and you enjoy your day. You can there are going to be stressful times or whatever, but so fast forward, I'm the oldest of 4 children. And so when I went to college, I was like, I was going to go be an anchor woman. I was,
Wow.
I was going to be a reporter and an anchor woman. So I
Yeah.
went to college for that, had an internship down in Minneapolis at a station. And I was like, this is not for me. It is dog eat dog. And I didn't really feel like I was having
Hmm.
much of an impact on anybody. And during this time I was going to school, I was also playing basketball in college and I did summer camps every single summer. Like it was so fun. The college students, we would be the counselors for the kids. And then growing up, my mom was a coach, so we always had that too. And I always loved kids. And so from there, I was like, you know what? If I really love this, I probably would love being a teacher. So then I went into some
Yeah.
education courses. And my first education course was actually a teacher teaching us how to teach kindergarten, and we got to do a lot of different role plays, and I was just like, this is totally up my alley. I loved it. So that is how I got into it. I mean, it's been in our family forever, but I chose it as a path my junior year of college.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty exciting. So it's been in your blood, basically. It's been in your blood. Yeah.
It's been in my blood. And then I think it's been in my blood and it's just been in my heart. I just see these kids and I want to be that light for them, you know? And I
Yeah.
think that seeing a different career path that I thought I was going to love and realizing that, whoa, I wasn't feeling I would have any sort of impact on the youth or the generations.
Yeah.
That's what got me. So that's it.
That's you have a big heart. You definitely have a big heart. You know, when
Mhm.
I found you on social media, and we talked about this a little bit earlier. But I found you on social media. You know, again, you're scrolling through TikTok, and you see people that come up, and some of the things that you spoke about really resonated with me. I was like, oh, this is right up my alley. She's talking about, you know, how to reach students, how to show empathy to students, how to deal with students with difficult behavior with love and caring, and it was just right up my alley.
Mhm.
Um, and so my question to you is like, when I watch some of the things on TikTok, you always talk about, um, what is it right here? I have it written down right here. I don't want to mess it up. You have this one saying. It's where is it? Where is it? Oh, here we go. How do you be stress free in the classroom, and how do you keep your sanity? You have a lot of videos like that. How to be
Mhm.
stress free and how to keep your sanity.
Mhm.
How do you be stress free in the classroom, and how do you keep your sanity?
I think I really can preach this now if we back up a little bit. But first things, I always see my students as human beings first. And
Mhm.
that like my resume is from 20 no 2000, not 20, 2000, back when I first started teaching. I've always looked at them as a whole being. And I think that
Mhm.
alone, and especially after COVID, that shift intentionally thinking about, okay, these are little human beings and I am here to inspire them.
That's
That is
right.
my goal. That is my end game. That helps alleviate a lot of my stress in itself because then my priorities are different. I'm not stressed out about, oh my gosh, we didn't get this done. We didn't get this done. And I'm also not in a school district where, I am not at risk for getting fired if my kids don't score well on a test. So
Yeah.
I have never been in that sort of situation. So if I rewind, so I was teaching for 22 years and I took a year off of teaching last year. And that really helped me understand that no matter what you're doing, if you are working hard at it and you have a passion and some for whatever, life it will be stressful. Like you will have stress, and no matter what
Mhm.
you are doing, teaching.
Mhm.
So I was stressed out last year with my schedule. I had had a structured schedule my whole entire working career. So then last year when I took off, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to schedule my day. And I'm a type B, by the way. I am not an A. This is
Yeah.
very hard. It's very hard for me, but I was like, how am I going to do this? So I was stressed in my own ways, and I was like, how did I not ever get so stressed out in the classroom? And it really boils down to priorities, and my priority is always them as children first.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing that happened this year is that because I'm doing social media a little bit, and I have like my other entrepreneurial endeavors, and I have children.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
really have to prioritize my time outside of the
That's right.
classroom. So when I get to school and during my prep hour, I am very intentional. I stay in my room and I get my stuff done. I just take care of that. I don't get involved in any outside stuff. There's so many things out here that we
That's
can't
right.
control. And I don't get involved in that at all anymore. That has not always been the case. I've been teaching for a
Mhm.
long time. So
Mhm.
it was really easy to get caught up in like this drama or that drama or gossip or we're not getting paid
Yes.
enough and blah, blah, blah. All of that,
Mhm.
it's just too draining. I learned that
Mhm.
in 2011 is when I shifted. So I was teaching for like 11 years and getting caught up in that kind of crap.
Yeah.
And I read the book by Carol Dweck, Mindset.
Mhm.
And that changed my life. And so then I just continue, I've always been a reader. Like, I don't know if you've seen my TikToks where my dad was always like, gosh, you're reading too much. Stop reading this. Stop reading that. Because I come back and say like, well, based on this
Yeah.
research or whatever. But I'm glad I always kept reading, because I think that has really helped me keep stress out of the classroom. I mean, I can't
Yeah.
control what those kids are dealing with at home. I can't control,
Yeah.
how crappy their lives can be sometimes. And my first 10 years, I would go home an emotional wreck because I cared so much. I felt so bad because I also hadn't been trained in trauma or anything. So
Yeah.
I would take a lot of that pain and stress home or on, but I've shifted to, I can be there and I can be their light for when they are with me and when they are in my classroom. And when they're
Hmm.
not, like, I hope I can give them some tools and some spark so that they know someone loves them. And I get like emotional
Yeah.
talking about it, but um, that ultimately really helps with the stress. And then I add fun into the day. Every single day we do something fun. And that doesn't have to be like, oh, we're having a big party today. Like on Fridays, I do Fist Bump Friday. I bought this thing and I actually saw it on TikTok. And I was like, oh my gosh, this would be hilarious, because I have some of the kids who talk about the Marvel, whatever. So I blare the music and I have have you seen that TikTok where it's like this big.
No, I haven't, but I'm figuring it's a big fist, like a Marvel superhero, like a Hulk fist or something. Sounds like.
Yes. And it's like, well, it's the one where you can't snap. Don't snap, Mrs. Johnson. Because then
Oh
it
yeah.
like
Hmm.
everything disappears or something. I don't know. I haven't even seen it, but
Yeah. 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 No. Yeah.
they they love it. Like, they're still kids. And seventh
Hmm.
and eighth graders are still kids. And juniors and seniors are still kids. And I think education has forgotten about that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And I agree with you 100% about seeing them as human beings, right? These are human beings with feelings, and emotions, and they're just not a test score, and they're just not a number, and they're just not somebody else's kid, right? Somebody else's kid, and they're in your classroom. The way I see it is they're my kids from whatever time, from the time school starts when they set foot on campus, from 7:30 till when I leave campus at 4 o'clock. They're my kids, and I'm
Mhm.
looking out for them, and I'm making sure they're okay, and I'm taking care of needs. And as an administrator, I'm just walking around. I'm just like this ultimate like supervisor of everything that's going on, and I know what's happening. I know what kid. In the morning, this kid walked in. They looked upset. Oh, I probably need to step by that classroom and see what's going on. Let me
Mhm.
go find him on the playground and talk to him for a quick second, because I knew when he walked in, he looked like he had a hard day.
That's awesome.
So I'm just observing, watching him, just looking around, seeing who needs a pick me up, seeing who needs to be talked to, seeing who looks lonely. Let me go talk to that person. Let me invite them to a game. We're playing kickball over here. Let's go play kickball. And so it's that they are human beings and they're my kids, and I'm gonna do my very best, just like I would if my kids were, if this whole school was filled with my kids. This is exactly what I would be doing. I'd be
Mhm.
lifting everybody up, being positive, you know telling them, lifting up their self-esteem,
Mhm.
because like you were saying, they're little human beings, right? And
Mhm.
they're my kids from this time to that time. And like you were saying, after 4 o'clock, there's nothing else I could do. The game is over. The game is
Mhm.
over. I go home. I'm in my car. I probably listen to a podcast. I probably like listen to some music. I, got to switch my brain, because now I'm coming home. Now I'm coming home, and it's a whole different ball game at home.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that I agree with you. Totally agree with you. But you were saying, you have kids. Your son came on earlier. You have young kids.
Yeah.
Young kids. How do you juggle? How do you manage your time? You have young kids. You have young kids. You're an entrepreneur. You make TikToks. You're on social media. I- Please explain how you manage your time.
No, I don't know. No, just kidding. I do. I'm an early
I don't know.
riser. It's not. It's I kind of had an epiphany when I can't remember who I was listening to, if it was Simon Sinek or somebody, and they said there was like a myth of this work life balance, and I was like, hmm. let me think about that a little bit more. Like, really? Because I do see teachers struggling with, oh, I feel so exhausted, burned out, and I don't know how to juggle my life. And so I just decided to turn it, and I think that you have to like what you're doing or enjoy what you're doing, and everything just kind of has to flow. And so I stopped looking at it as like a work life balance, because then I felt like, oh, I should be doing this, and I should be laying at home right now. Or, I had a more negative connotation with
Yeah.
that for some reason. And I don't know if it was just because of what I was seeing on, a lot of the social media or whatever. But I just schedule my day. In the morning, I make sure I take me time. I love my mornings with coffee. I go in the sauna and I work out, and
Hmm.
I'm listening to a podcast. I mean, there is such power in podcasts. So good job of starting one.
Yeah.
Because there is such power in podcasts and just learning
That's
from people
right.
who've been in the grind,
Hmm.
but you have to be cautious of like negative ones, ones that are just
That's
like
right.
not filling your cup. Um,
Hmm.
but then I'm very intentional about my time with my children. So I do not, like, tonight is a different thing because I was so, like, they're home tonight, and typically we are like, I'm with them 100% when they're here. So we're in a blended family, which makes it, I do
Hmm.
have some times alone during the week, 2 nights a week without them. But so it's just managing priorities. So when I'm at home and with my children, I'm 100% focused. I'm also teaching them how to be present, because if I'm on my phone constantly or doing TikToks all the time,
Yeah.
that's not modeling to them. When I'm at school, I really am focused on school and those students.
Hmm.
So I kind of block my energies into to the spaces that I'm in. And then for social media, like tonight after we're done on here, since I actually have my hair done, like I will probably bulk some TikToks. I won't edit
That's
them
right.
right now, but I'll have a bunch in there. And then when I'm laying in bed, if or in the morning in the sauna, I might edit it then.
Hmm.
When I was not teaching last year, I did stick to a really regimented schedule as far as the social media and the TikToks.
Yeah.
But now my word for the year is flow, and I'm just letting things flow with my priorities. And so I think that was the question.
Yeah.
Go
Yes.
have
You
fun.
you 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 explained how you manage your time. So you took a year off yet last year. You weren't teaching last year.
No,
Okay.
so yeah, so I took a year off because I needed to step away, and I needed to figure out some things, because for all these years I've been thinking I just want to help educators so much. Like,
Mhm.
they need help, because I have seen some things that are just counterproductive that adults do, um, to actually escalate situations rather than help alleviate them or
Mhm.
turn them into learning moments.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, everybody needs to know it. Like, teachers need to know this. And all of the books that I read, like, I am obsessed with kind of like personal growth and like self growth. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I have written down over the years, teachers need, like, everybody needs to know this. Teachers need to know this. It would make their life so much easier in the classroom. And so I stepped away last year and I said, you know what? I'm going to take a year off, and I need to see can I make this happen to create a program for teachers to help them? Am I getting
Yeah.
kind of, can you, okay, you got to be careful with this, okay, when you edit it.
Okay.
Um, I need to step out and see, is it the kids that are where I'm feeling like I'm not loving coming here anymore? Or is it the space that I'm in? And I,
Hmm.
I realize that the values that are in my heart are not happening. And that's really hard to work in a space where those are colliding. So
Yes. That's a good point. That is a very good point. Like I'm gonna bring it back. When I was a younger teacher, I taught for 18 years. So I taught for 18 years, and when I was a younger teacher, I wanted to be with the teachers. I wanted to be in the popular group. Let's just say, I want to
Mm-hmm.
sit at that lunch table. I wanted to hear about the gossip. I wanted to, if they were against the administration, let's. I'm joining in with you. We're all together. We're all together, and I wanted to be, there's happy hour. Let's all go to happy hour. And like I was part of all of that when I was young, and then I'm like, this is not me. This is not what I want. I started to be like, you know what, this is not me. I don't want this. This is not me. I don't want to be part of this. This is draining me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to step away. Like I had to step away. Like I don't want to go down to the faculty lounge. I'll eat in my room. I'll eat
That
with like two or three people that I know. Right?
that
That's
is
what I'll do.
it's so
And yeah, that's what happened. I had to step away, and it took me I don't know. It took me a good like 10 years. It took me a good 10 years. And
true.
then I was like, you know what? We're not a group. This is not a group thing. This is about me. And this is not filling my cup. I'm not feeling good in this group. I need to leave this group.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then, I got my administration credentials, and you move up the ladder, and then it gets really lonely. Right. And so now,
I don't know how you
when I
do.
was a dean, yeah, like when I was a dean, my funniest funny joke. When I was a dean, I don't think I ate lunch with anybody. Like nobody wanted to eat lunch with me. Like I was in the middle. I wasn't administration, and I wasn't a teacher. I was somewhere in the middle. And then
Mm-hmm.
when you become an administrator, uh, it's really lonely, right? You don't really. I don't eat lunch with anybody. Like nobody. It's rare. It's very rare that I eat lunch with anybody. So I don't have time to talk to this person or that, or get involved in any of the dramas. I'm putting out dramas. I'm trying to stop them. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no, no. Um, but I'm trying to create a space, like you had mentioned. I'm trying to create a space where it feels healthy, where people feel like they're valued, where people feel like they belong and they're supported.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to create this space along with my, I'm the assistant principal, and there's a principal who's doing the exact same thing as me,
Good.
and we're working together as a team. And it's difficult because on social media and everywhere else, it's like, it, let's bash the administrator. It's the administrator's fault for whatever reason, and it's
Mm-hmm.
out there, um, and I'm just trying to create a space where everybody feels cared for and healthy, and feel like they belong. So
And I
yeah,
think
I hear
it's
you.
awesome that you and your principal are doing that. From kind of some experience and from on social media, I don't think that's always the case. I think
Yeah.
unfortunately some of the administration out there are literally stuck in the dark ages, and they are being counterproductive to their staff and to the students. And if you
Mm,
haven't read Stephen Covey's book, Trust and Inspire, you've got to read that. I mean,
I haven't read it.
oh my gosh. Okay, so you
I'm gonna
sound like
I'm gonna
you're
read it.
yes,
I
you
read. I definitely read, and I know who Stephen Covey is.
yes.
Oh,
I
I
can't
haven't read that.
I put it out. I actually did a TikTok last year when I read it to all administrators because it's just a simple, it's a shift. It's not simple. I shouldn't say it's simple because I mean, it's like your whole life we've been growing up to like follow command, command and control, command and control. And
Mm,
education started off that way because we were building like little factory workers, like
yeah.
shift. We need to shift. And I know, I think we need to shift. And I think that's going to come from inside because there are a lot of administrators or PD people who are out there preaching some pretty dangerous, I would say dangerous knowledge. Not
Hmm.
maybe dangerous, maybe like, I don't know what the right word is, but like ineffective, completely
And if
ineffective and wrong. I
hmm
mean, it's just completely outdated, ineffective um,
yeah.
knowledge that they're trying to teach. And I see that in like I work with a couple colleagues who are brand new, fresh out, and they really just think that it's like the kids have to come and listen and blah blah. It's like really like this. When now it's shifted, it is all about that relationship, the connection, and that
Right.
we need to inspire our kids. Apathy is there because they don't give a crap. They can go look up on Google anything they want to find. So
That's right.
having them memorize stuff for just because I said so doesn't work anymore, you know?
Hmm.
And so that needs to shift. I
That's
can't
right.
even
That's
remember what
right.
the question was.
No, no, that you're right. That does need to shift. And let's talk about student apathy. You brought it up. Let's talk about student apathy.
Mm-hmm.
At your school, do you notice a rise in student apathy since COVID?
Um, I thought about this question before because I figured you were going to ask me about it, and
Mhm.
I I really think student apathy is bigger than that as far and smaller than that. So let me start with that. So I think
Let's hear it.
singular classrooms have different forms of apathy, like different levels of apathy. I think it is the
Hmm.
person. I think kids, you have to reach them
Hmm.
to teach them. And I really wholeheartedly believe from my soul that they have to connect and care, that they need to know that that teacher cares about them in order to give any sort of crap, like to
That's
give
right.
two shits inside their classroom. They
Hmm.
have to feel that. So apathy, I think, does go down to that level on some capacity. I also think the mental health and the situations that kids are in that they've probably always been in over time, over generations. But now it's like these kids are dealing with a lot more divorce, a lot more um, trauma of all sorts. Trauma isn't just one big accident, it's
Hmm.
little things over time. And now we're aware of it. And so when a kid comes into my classroom and is bawling and um, because of what happened the night before with her parents, how I handle that situation is going to make or break the apathy in that kid, you know? And so I think teachers need to look at a different lens. And I look at it with a lens of empathy. And
Hmm.
um, kids are dealing with a lot of crap. And they're also more, I think kids are more emotionally aware and more emotionally intelligent than a lot of the adults because I think about the cycle. Think of the cycle. Hi, bud.
Okay.
I'm
Okay. I
concentrating
just
right
have
now.
to tell you this. I just want to. You just enter your email address. You get a $1,000 Amazon gift card.
Okay, but that's not my email.
Because
Go talk to Patrick. I think that's just
this-
spam, buddy.
No, it's not. It's like every time.
Okay.
So I had 3 tries to pick a random box, and I
Mhm.
got it
Okay, please go
on
talk
the
to
last
Patrick.
try.
Okay, now what was I going on? I was in such a good. What are
Apathy. You're talking about student apathy, and
I know, but where did I
things are different. You had mentioned how
lose?
trauma. They're going to
Yes. Okay, I got it. The cycle.
cycle.
So I have a hard time. This is why I was so happy this wasn't live because I have some notes and everything, and when I want to say something, but sometimes I don't get it always out right,
Yeah.
So how old are you? You have 30-year-old kids. I could not believe.
I'm 46.
Oh, so am I. Yeah,
Yeah.
so am
Yeah, we're
I.
the same age.
Okay, cool, sweet. Well, you're lucky. You have a lot of freedom.
I'm done. My kids, my youngest one's 19, so
That's
I'm good.
awesome. Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
great. It's a totally different vibe, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. My son is in that other room. He's probably playing his game or something like that. I don't get ready for school. He's in college right now, so I don't know.
Oh, awesome. But so the cycle has shifted. Or there are cycles, like poverty cycles. They continue, they continue, they continue. Trauma cycles continue, continue, continue. And when we're talking about like when we were growing up, we had no idea that we could have a feeling. Like, no, you're fine. Shut,
That's
no.
right.
You know what I
Shut
mean?
up.
Like we had
Shut your
no idea.
mouth.
Yes, shame out. And so we're harboring all this crap, and then it comes out later on our choices and our bad choices that we make and all of those things. And so that's just how it was. And our parents Heck no. You didn't even say boo. Like, no, you didn't even talk about anything to us as
That's right.
kids, right? So now we have these
Hmm.
kids and we are coming through this like, holy crap, we need to talk to our kids. Like, I just went through all this therapy and this counseling. I learned all of this. So now I'm going to teach my
Yes.
kids more about this. So we're teaching them about this. And then they're going into schools where it's still command and control and do as I say. And, so ultimately the big shift, because not all kids are getting that at home either, but the big
Hmm.
shift is going to come ultimately from teachers. I really wholeheartedly believe that. I think that shift is going to come to help break that cycle. And so that's why
Yeah.
I'm so passionate about the positive relationships and how intentional relationships are number one,
That's
because
right.
and teaching empathy and grit and resilience and persistence. I start my whole first month off. That's what we do. And then it's infiltrated all year long because I like the idea of like, I'm helping build a generation. I,
Yeah, I
I,
like the idea.
I don't like the idea of like, well, this is my job. I get, I do have empathy for teachers who are saying that, when they're like, well, I'm here to teach math.
Yeah.
It's just because they don't know yet. Like they don't know. Everything needs to shift now in order for education to really be
Yeah.
successful. It needs to shift, and
Hmm.
it's not going to start with the top. It's not going to. It needs to start with the top, but it's not going to. Like
It's not. It's
the politics and stuff. It's not going to. So it needs to start inside.
so new teachers. So if you're like 20, 25 years old, you're a new teacher. Um, that's different from when I was 25 as a new teacher, because when I was 25 as a new teacher, I already had like two kids already. I had two kids. I was living on my own. I had to figure it out, right? I was mature at 25 years old, right? And but now you're like 25 years old. It's expensive. Life is expensive. You're still living with your parents. You're still at home, right? At 25 years old, they're still paying your bills. You still got dinner made for you. You know, your clothes are being washed by your mom.
Yeah.
All
Yes.
these
Yeah.
things, right? Yeah, all these things. You're not an adult yet. You're still living at home, but you're a teacher still. So like you might be in the classroom. First, your teachers aren't making that much money. They're not making, and it depends on the city that you're working out of, right? But so you're probably still at home. Um, yeah, when I was that age, I was already like, my mind was already focused on like I don't know. I had to make this. I don't know. My maturity level was just so much different from a
Mhm.
25-year-old, and I already understood that the I understood sacrifice, like sacrificing my time, sacrificing mainly my time for the kids that I'm teaching and for my family.
Mhm.
But now you're 25 years old and you're a new teacher. I don't know if you understand sacrificing your time for um somebody else. That's, and I don't know. I don't want to. I'm probably gonna get some shit for saying something like that, right? But
That is such a
I
good
don't
point.
know if you understand. Yeah, like you have to. You sacrifice. You're sacrificing your time for the kids that you serve, right? You're sacrificing for them.
Mhm.
I got that because I had kids and I was married and I understood about sacrifice already.
Mhm.
So I'm coming to the classroom with that knowledge. Like, okay, I understand. I have to give my time, give effort for, but you're 25 years old. You don't understand that. You were like, well, I my time. What about me? What about my needs? What about I feel like like my needs aren't being taken care of. How am I supposed to take care of those kids' needs? And that's a valid point.
Mhm.
Valid point.
Mhm.
But when I was 25 years old, it wasn't even about me. It wasn't even about me. It was about other people. Let me help them. Let me help my family. Let me help my kids. Let
Mhm.
me take my, it wasn't even about me. So I understood, let me give.
Mhm.
And now being 25 years old, it's all you, I don't know, you might be a little selfish at 25 years old. I don't know, like now, and I might have to cut this part out,
You can cut it out.
but,
You're
but
making
I
a
think,
very valid point, and I think Instagram has done a lot with that. Like Instagram, they want everything right now, and then they're seeing
Mhm.
what they think is reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah,
making it's
I couldn't, when I was 25 years old, kids, I couldn't just go in my room and lay down and be on my phone for the next 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours. I couldn't do that.
right.
There was other
Mhm.
duties. I had duties. I had things I had to do. So there was no
Mhm.
like, oh, I need my time. I need to sit down and just sit here and just be on my phone for 6 hours and then get ready for work the next day. It was nothing like that. And I think that, you're a new teacher, you want your time, I guess. I don't know,
Well,
you understand about sacrifice. I don't know.
they got a thing
I
coming
don't
from
know.
it. It's like
I'm gonna get a 26-year-old teacher to be on this podcast, and I just want to pick their brain. I'm like, just tell me how it is. How is it as a 26-year-old? I'm gonna sound like an old person, and 20 years older than you. Tell me about how it is to be a 26-year-old teacher. Please enlighten me.
I
um, that'd
know.
be interesting.
I know. I
That'd
don't.
be an
I
interesting
remember
podcast.
having. Yeah, I had responsibilities too. But I hope when you interview one, like I should ask this on TikTok, but I hope that they have the spark and the drive and like the energy that I had at that age. You know, did you? Even though you were, because I had my first child at like 27. But I
Oh, you're
remember
later,
having
yeah.
like, that fire and everything, and it's like that's who I want to help. But if they don't have, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's definitely
yeah. I
different.
don't know.
The connection piece of it and the hard work of like people, they think that things should all come easy, and it just doesn't. Like
It doesn't.
it
It
doesn't.
doesn't. And back to your point about like when we're both the same age. When I was growing up, and especially being male, emotions. What are emotions? What are emotions anyway? I don't know what emotions are. I've never been taught about how to regulate my emotions. I'm looking at my dad who doesn't even smile.
Yeah.
I'm looking at that guy. He doesn't even make us a smile, and that's my role model. I guess I don't smile either. We're both sitting here unhappy. I guess that's what we do, right? I
Yeah.
remember being told, like I don't think I was told this, but you don't cry. You don't cry, and I got the impression that you only cry at funerals or if you got hurt extremely bad, like you got hit by a car or you broke your leg, and then there's an opportunity for you to cry. So you have two reasons to cry. That's it. Just
Mhm.
you're on a funeral and somebody that you love died, or you got hurt really, really, really bad. You broke an arm, you got shot, something like you got stabbed. You could cry then.
Okay.
And so that was what was ingrained in me. And then, you know, I go in and I'm seeing these kids in the classroom, and I'm like, wait a minute, these kids look like how I was, growing up. And as I matured and I understood that, you need to be able to regulate your emotions, and I'm 30 years old now. I'm looking at these young kids who are coming in middle school. I'm like, oh, this guy is just like me. This kid is a kid who has no idea that he could express his emotions in a positive way. He doesn't know that. And somebody needs to tell him that. And that's why I liked middle school so much. Because I could be I could be the one to tell him, like, hey, it's okay. You're gonna be
Mhm.
all right. Come here, come and talk to me for a second. Let's talk. Can we just talk? And that connection, that male connection, male to another male, um, I think it's just those kids need that,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
yeah, that just being able to, so when I was a middle school teacher, just talking to kids and trying to teach them how to regulate their emotions, that was
Mhm.
huge for me. And as I'm 46 now, I've gotten a lot better at it. Um, just being in a school setting and just seeing these kids who are angry all the time,
Mhm.
and then just showing them, hey, let's talk. So I
Yes.
don't
Thank
know.
goodness they have you. I mean,
Yeah.
do you still see kids? Because I see them in seventh and eighth grades. Some of the boys, um, and not to generalize, but that's what it is. They still will say, "Oh, you're crying," if a kid is crying, um,
Yeah.
as if it's a bad thing. Did you see that in
Yeah.
your elementary still?
Yeah. 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 I definitely see that where it's not okay to cry, like, um see, this is a tricky one, right? So like you should, I feel as a male, right? You
Mhm.
shouldn't just cry. Like I shouldn't just cry over something that's not like
When you don't get your way.
a reason to cry, right?
Mhm.
But if I'm sad about something, right? If I'm let's just go angry. If
Mhm.
I'm angry about something and my only outlet as a male is to be violent, then somebody has not showed me how to regulate my emotions.
Mhm.
Somebody hasn't showed me an alternative to release this stress.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's so needed, right? That is so needed because you always see these angry boys. These boys that get angry, and then now what? Are you going to fight? You're gonna shut down? Are you gonna shut down and not talk to anybody? Like there's two things. You're gonna be angry and lash out at somebody. You're just gonna completely shut down and collapse and cry and collapse. There's got to be a balance. What is it? And so
And who's going to fix that,
that
Mr. Bergara?
what happened? I missed that. What'd you say?
Who's going to fix that? The
Yeah,
teachers.
exactly. Who is gonna fix that, right? I it might I hate to say it, but the kids are at school from 7:30 and sometimes till 6 o'clock through the after school program, right? They're there for very long time, and it might be the school setting where it gets fixed,
I
where it
100%.
gets fixed because the students with difficult behavior, they're not the kids that are getting picked up at 2:30 when the bell rings. Those are the kids that stay after school all the way till 6 o'clock, and then even later sometimes because their parents don't pick them up yet. Um, and so it might be the school setting, and I hate to say it. I hate to say it because I get a lot of pushback for that. They always say it's the parents' job. Why aren't the parents teaching these skills to them? But and right, they should. But what happens if the parents don't teach them these skills? What happens if they come to school without these skills? Are you not going to teach these skills to the kids? Like that doesn't make sense to me.
It
You
doesn't make
should
sense.
teach these skills to the kids. Yeah.
I just want to
So
shout. I think it's such a waste of energy to even complain about it that parents aren't doing their job because they're not. And if they aren't, what are you gonna do?
yeah.
I mean, when they come into
Yeah.
your space, into your let's build a culture of how we
Yeah.
want the kids to be. You know,
That's right.
so I think a lot of educators would be a lot happier if they would shift to thinking of them as like they're human beings. How do we want them to be? We do need to teach them these skills now. It's shifted.
That's right. That's right. I have a question. I'm gonna bring it back to teaching. Um, being a female, like I get stuff. I get comments in my videos, and they say stuff like, "Well, that works for you being a male. That works for you. You're building relationships. That works for you. Being a female, do you have problems dealing with difficult behavior, and then especially boys with difficult behavior?"
I have personally found that I don't have with boys. No, with girls, I had girls are a little more challenging. Um, I have not found with the boys. I really and I'm not saying this in a braggy way. I have had very minimal behavior issues with some of the most challenging because I will, hey, come and have lunch with me. Let's have lunch. I'll go down and have lunch with them, or I'll walk them. I try to really connect. And so I guess I haven't noticed a difference. I think the girls have been more, if anything, other than that, because sometimes I'll let my guard, I'll maybe come back. Like this year, I came back. Oh my gosh, I got blood boiling from a girl. She pushed me to my limits, and I got so frustrated with myself afterwards. Like, come on. So no,
Yeah.
that's a really good point. I'm going to pay attention more on that because I haven't really thought of that before.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good because I'll get comments like, "Well, you're male. You look intimidating. You're bald. That's why they listen to you." And I'm like, "No, that's not why. That is not why they listen to me. They listen to me because they know that I care about them. They know that my heart's in the right place. When I ask them to do something, they know that I'm not doing it to be mean or mean spirited. I'm doing it because this is in their best interest."
Right.
So yeah, I just wanted to get your point of view about that. Like, have you? It sounds like you don't notice a change. I think that it's harder to work with. it's harder to deal with girls with difficult behavior for me than it is with boys with difficult behavior. Yeah. So
Well, girls have a
it's
lot going on when they're in their in their
that's
teens
right.
and all the way around, and it's like, oh my gosh, my oldest daughter is, well, oh my gosh, her age 12 and 13 was like, who are you? And then 16 and 17 was like, oh my gosh, who are you again? Like, so
Yeah.
I think that helps with the stress levels too, of just like recognizing that, and that they're going to be funky and they're going to mouth off. And, you know, have you read The FU is not an FU? Oops.
No,
Have
I
you ever
haven't. I
read
haven't read that.
that? FU is really
Mm.
not an FU, because behavior is all, you know, there's so much deeper all the time.
There's something behind it. Yeah.
Yes. No, you can say
So
hi though, since you're going to bug me. Here's my other child. This is John.
is this John? John, how you doing, John?
No, yeah, you can take that. Yeah, you can take that. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
But I really think overall it is the relationship regardless of gender. And I think the kids, like, let's say there's a kid who maybe had a traumatic experience, whether it's a girl or boy or them, with somebody with a bald head, you might not be able to connect just because
Yeah.
of that trigger.
That's
You know,
right.
so I really think it's more, I think it's more on a one-on-one basis and the circumstances, you know, and that connection. I might be way over the top for some kids as far as like you know, so that could just be that personality. Like, I'm so annoyed with you, I can't even listen to you right now. But then they could come over to a male who's more like their vibe, you know? So I think maybe that's it. Just each kid individually. Kind of like people. We don't jive with everybody, and that's okay. Like, I really teach kids that too. It's like, because in my classroom, like, you are kind to each other. And this week I actually called out, I was like, this is not happening. Here's what I witnessed. And I do not believe in shame of any sort inside of the classroom. This was a really serious incident because it goes against like our thing of like, we are kind and we care about each other in here. Like, you don't have to love each other. You don't have to like each other, but you are going to be kind to each other and respectful. And so I called that out. Like, I just called it out this week. So I just lost my train of thought again because I heard my kids talking up there.
It's okay.
A lot of editing.
It's okay.
Oh, dang.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So, Molly, I know I clicked on your link in your bio, and you have a classroom management system. Can you explain a little bit about your classroom management system?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been total game changer. I've tweaked it over the years. It's something I completely came up with. When I first started out in teaching, it was kind of like there was no like system inside the classroom. It was just like, yep, sit down, do this. And then the behaviors would be like, oh, go to the office, I'm like, this is not, this is not working with what is, like, I just feel like it was off. So then I started thinking, how am I going to build something that can give kids a second chance, help them learn a little bit about their behaviors and be just self-aware. And so I created, it's called the Rewind and Fast Forward system. It's just my whole classroom management system. And basically what it is the kids get a second chance, and then all of the stuff is dealt with inside of the classroom until a certain point. So for instance, let's say you are sitting there and you will not stop bugging your neighbor. Like, you just keep picking on them. So then I'll go over and I'll like gently maybe touch your shoulder or whatever, depending on the kid. But I have these little reminder cards, and it's just a card for our 4 basic rules inside the classroom, which are be prepared, be respectful, be determined, and be kind. Those 4 things. And it's a little reminder card to be like, hey, so I give that to them. And it gives them a chance to be like, okay, well, crap, what am I doing? Do I need to go for a walk? You know, Miss Johnson, they'll go like this for water. I mean, this isn't in there, but like, can I go get a water drink? Can I go to the bathroom? It's just a physical reminder, and it's very quiet, subtle, because kids need physical reminders. Like, they need them. Their brains are such adolescent. They're just such squirrels. They need a physical reminder. Give them that. Most of the time, they're like, oh crap, okay, she's serious. Like, oh my gosh, she's serious. And actually, when I just hold them up in front of the class, like if I just go over and grab them, they're like, oh crap, I don't want to get a card. Let's say they're having, just not working, whatever they're doing. And then I say, okay, hey, come on, let's go out in the hall. And I give them a little reflection sheet, and they just sit down and they reflect on their behavior, and they write down, they doodle, whatever. I have 2 different levels for, younger elementary and then upper and into high school. And they just process like, okay, what the heck was I doing? Like, why did I just push that kid in the back? Why did I just whatever? And then I go out there and sit and we talk about it. And on the backside, I reflect and I write down what we talked about. The first one of those, that's between me and the student. Like, I don't believe in going to the parent right away, because I think that can block the trust. And I also just really like helping those kids recognize, like, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't have been doing that, and helping them through that process. And so then that's it. They get a fresh start the next day. It is not Blair. There's nothing that I don't use. I would never use like clips or anything to show bad day, good day for the kids. I just think that's really counterproductive and shaming. And so that's the individual portion of it. The other part of it is the classroom, and it's fun. We have like this board, and each class period, like, they get stars and they get smiley faces or whatever they choose. And once they fill up that whole board, then they have a reward day. And they're 7th and 8th graders, and they still love it. Like, they are, kids, they love it. So now, yeah. So I'm like, and sometimes I'll just have to go point over at her or whatever. But really, I think it's just building that whole community, that solid foundation. And I do start that there's a game in there for that too. But it really is about giving the kids a second chance and creating a space where they feel cared for, loved, and being very consistent. Consistency is hard. And being consistent with those cards. And I mean, it's just kind of a way of life in the classroom. But that behavior classroom management system has been game changing. And I've had dozens of people write me saying, thank you so much. Like, this has been great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Because there's no yell. You don't need to yell. Like, I don't know why anybody does anyway, but at certain times, maybe you have to out on the playground or whatever. But
yeah, I stopped yelling because one of the main reasons I stopped yelling in the classroom was because it took too much of my energy. It took way too much of my energy. I felt drained. So every time I raised my voice, every time my anger level got up really high, even if I just got angry and I allowed myself to get that angry, then my energy was sapped, and I have to go home. And I have a family, and I have kids. I have other things I need to do. Mm-hmm. And if I go home depleted, that just ruined my day. So one of my things was, there's no need to yell. I don't need to yell, and I don't need to get that angry. It's not that serious.
No, that's so great. You have that self-awareness, and that's what, that's huge in the world of education, self-awareness.
Another question. Teacher apathy, right? Teacher quit talk. Teacher apathy, teacher quit talk. You see a lot of teachers just like making these videos about, hey, I'm quitting and I'm done with teaching, right? Mm-hmm. What do you got to say about that? What's your opinion about that?
I say, see you later.
No, yeah.
I mean, not in a disrespectful.
No, yeah. Maybe it's best for them. Maybe it's best for them.
Maybe it is. I think the struggle can be very real. Okay. I think when you deal with your own personal stuff and you're younger, and I think if you haven't gone through some hard things in life, I think it's definitely a lot harder. I also think that people going into the profession, as I did, and maybe you did too, I thought I had to be in it for lifelong. I just never thought of any other options out there. And so, and my why is important to me. I have a why, and it's impacting the good. I want to help bring good to the world. So I think the quit talk, it might not be for them, and that's okay. Like, that's okay. There's also a lot of so I'm wondering if the quitting is also happening. I mean, it's hard. I'm in a K-12 school, so I'm in like a smaller school, and it can be very challenging. So I'm not in some of the, more places across where the testing is a big deal and all of that. Mm-hmm. I think maybe they're stressed out because of the expectations of their school district, maybe. Maybe they don't like kids, and that's okay. Then they need to go find a new path. Maybe they're not happy in their own life, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I don't
yeah.
know. There are so many components to quitting, and it's okay. Like, if people want to leave the profession, I think that's fine, because I don't think we have to be in it forever. It is exhausting. It's
Yeah.
definitely a different kind of exhaustion, and people don't get that. So if you don't have the the knowledge to be like, let a lot of the stuff from the outside stay out there, I don't
Mhm.
think you will make it in teaching, because you need to keep your mindset focused on
Yeah.
those. You need to focus on those kids and not let all the crap get to you. And I think that's what I'm seeing a lot of on TikTok, quit talk. It's the
Mhm.
complaint train. And I understand because I was there. Like, I was in, just like you, those first
Yeah.
few years, you're
First
in
few years, yeah.
complain, complain, complain. And that's human nature. The negative always supersedes the positive, unfortunately, until you learn that, no, wait, stop. What are you doing? Like, when I read Carol Dweck Mindset, changed the trajectory of my teaching, because I was not allowing that crap in anymore. It just
Yeah.
wasn't serving me, and it wasn't serving my students. So I think teacher quit talk is legit. I think new teachers, I think we need to be aware of what we surround ourselves with, as far
That's
as
right.
the energies we let in.
That's correct. So do you have any tips for the new educators? Three tips. Three tips that you could give for new educators coming into the profession as a seasoned professional.
Yeah, I do. First one is, be aware of who you surround yourself with. Um, you are going to come across all sorts of people, and you're going to notice, like, I guess the best way I would describe it is like, how do you feel when you leave? Do you have like a red dot or a black dot? The black dot is they are draining you, and the red dot is they're filling you up. And if you find that you are around people who are draining you, and maybe they don't even know it, and it's maybe not ill intended, but you yourself have to be very mindful of that, because that can take you down. So that means, like, if you're walking in the hallway and you see the same people who are out there standing, bitching or complaining all the time, don't go that way. Go the other way. It's
Mhm.
just like those kind of little things. If you find you're sitting in the lounge and you leave there exhausted every time, stop going and eating in the lounge. Um,
Good point.
like, if this person goes to the bathroom the same time you do, because our bathroom breaks are very structured. um,
Yeah, they
and you
are.
don't go that time, go to a different bathroom or something. Like, just be mindful of that, because that was one thing that really, I would come home, earlier in my years, and be like so frustrated or whatever. And that, my mom always told me, be nice to everybody, make sure you are friendly to everybody. There is no ranking system. You and the
Yeah.
custodian and you are all people, and you are
Hmm.
all important in that school. So you don't ever treat anybody differently. And so that would be another one. Everybody is equal at your school. Nobody is better than
Yeah.
the other because of a title. So newbies know that, like, because that still happens. I don't know if you see it out there, but like, some people will look at a paraprofessional, like, look down upon them, like, as a teacher.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I see that.
so that's some really great advice too. Like, you are all people, kind of like students, you're all people. Second thing I would
Hmm.
say is, give yourself some grace, and don't forget to have fun. Um, Grace and the respect that if you are feeling overwhelmed and you're like, I have so many things to do, pick out two things, let the other things go, and just know you're still kicking butt. Like,
That's
you're
right.
still there, like, just give yourself some grace and kind of laugh at yourself too, and have those fun moments inside of your classroom with your students. And the third thing is, see your students as human beings. Like, you are an inspiration. You can walk in there every single day and you have a choice. You can be a leader or a loser for those. You can be a hero or a zero for your
Yeah.
students. And I think of that every single day when I walk in there. If I'm having a bad day, I don't have to, I don't pretend anymore. Like, if
Yeah.
I can still be a hero without being over the top and happy, they come in and I can say, hey guys, I just gotta tell you, I'm feeling really sad right now. Like, I just need to tell you this, like, and then, so if I seem off, that's why. I just want you to know I'm human, so that's still being a hero because I'm modeling to them
Yeah.
that
That's good.
we have feelings and we're human, So
That's
those
right.
are the three things. I could probably go on and on, I guess, but I can go on and on and on for everything. I feel like, sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Actually, I
Well,
stopped
Molly, thank you.
apologizing too. That's one thing. I stopped apologizing. Oh, fourth thing though, for the newbies.
Oh, okay, let me hear
It
it. Let's
is
hear the fourth
okay.
thing.
Yes, it is okay to say no. Like, your
Yes.
capacity is only so far. And I know at the beginning, what schools do need help with coaching and with everything. If you really do not know how to play volleyball or have no care, say no to that volleyball coaching.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to say no. And if somebody can't respect your boundary of no, then that's probably not the place for you. Like, have your boundaries, and if people aren't respecting those, then, and you don't have to do it with a hateful heart. You just be like, okay, no, this isn't the place
Yeah.
for me anymore,
Yep.
So
There's some good tips, Molly. Thank you so much,
thanks.
Molly. Where can people find you? Where can people find you
Well, you can find me
on online?
yeah, you can find me
Where
on
could any of the? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah. So all of my links are on TikTok. So if you head to TikTok, you head to my bio, click on there, and then I have you can head into my Facebook group. I have a private Facebook group called Empowering Educators, and we're going to be starting up in 2024. We're going to have some little happy hours. Just, I'm finding a lot of teachers don't have a connection group. They're feeling
Right.
they need to connect with other like-minded individuals, and so we're going to be doing that. So you can hop on over there. I do have the Teachers for Teachers Club coming in February, and
Look at
so
you.
yeah, I know, right? No, my mission, and it was going to launch on January 1st, but then my capacity it's just boundaries, and
Yeah.
I have to give myself grace. It's kind of the same stuff I'm telling the first year teachers, like, give yourself
That's
grace.
right.
But those are my only platform. I'm on TikTok, and then I have my email list. I love them, and I email them, and you can get there through TikTok as well. And then my Teachers for Teachers Club that's coming out. I'm so pumped for.
Awesome.
Hopefully you can join. I'll
Yes.
you can join
I
my
need to join your Facebook group.
Yes, you do. I would like to see some more guys in there. It's mostly women. I mean, it really is mostly women, and they're from all over the world. And
It sounds intimidating.
well, there are a couple guys in there, but
Okay.
you're more than welcome to come on over.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Well, Molly, thank you so much for being on the Difficult Student podcast. Greatly appreciate your time that you took out of your schedule to take some time to be on this podcast. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. You're awesome. You are really you're changing the world for the better, and I'm so grateful because it definitely needs it.
Thank you so much.